Hi, I'm Diane Brady. I am here with Amy Peck, who is the CEO of Endeavor XR, which you are the strategy consultant, basically, to everyone who wants to be an XR, Web3, Metaverse. What are the mistakes we're making as we're tripping into this brave new world?
Well, I think part of it is conflating, everything related to this immersive realm as the metaverse. It just has this one label, in the same way that crypto is conflated with blockchain. And I think there's a lot of confusion about what it is and what we should be doing.
So unpack it for us then. How should we be talking about it?
Well, first of all, it's not going anywhere. The metaverse isn't going anywhere. It's not a place or a thing. I think of it as a journey that we're all building together.
Right.
That it is this brave new realm. And, looking at NFTs and crypto and Web3, it's like, just slow down, relax, build a strategy. Think about what are the products and services of the future, some of the issues that we need to solve as humans, and then work backwards from there.
So to some extent, I'm not going to say the dumb money rushes in, but it's always a good place to start with the dumb money. So what do you see happening that you think is perhaps premature on the investment front?
Well, I think that largely in fully virtual environments, and I love Roblox. I think it's great. I think it's great for kids, but the demographic is 9 to 13.
Right.
Maybe on its best day it stretches to 16. So is that really the market that a lot of companies that are steaming in are addressing? I do like that, Barbados said we're going to, put our immigration, everything in the metaverse and just allow people to come and talk to us, find out about Barbados. I think that's interesting. I don't know how valuable it is for them, but I like the companies are trailblazing. But again, how are you adding value? And that's the question.
What has shifted? So a lot of the euphoria that we see was based on zero interest rates, good times, the world is at peace. The world has changed. Is that shifting the questions that get asked and the way people are looking at this space?
Well, I think it's actually one of the positive elements of the digital landscape that it actually allows for collaboration, it allows for simulation, and we've all had to change very quickly, and so maybe there's this moment in time where we're not so fearful of change. Change is upon us, whether we like it or not, and technology is going to be a big driver of that. And so rather than being on our heels and being reactive, we have an opportunity, I think, to be proactive and actually build a version of the world that we would like to see.
Yeah. So you think it's really not, it's been uninterrupted for you in terms of companies coming to you and saying, help us get into this space. What are the pain points that people come to you with? Is it simply the, virgin terrain, pioneer space, where do I go? Or do you feel like it's shifting a bit?
I think it's just not drawing a line from where they are today and why they want to be in the metaverse. That is the question. Why do you want to be there? If it's just to build a digital twin of your physical Fifth Avenue store, is that really going to add value? So we advise companies to start with a physical space if they have it, whether it be a factory or whether you're a brand and you have a physical store, and start understanding how consumers want to interact in this digital landscape, because consumers don't really care about VR yet.
Well, it's interesting because VR is one of those areas where we talked about for many years, and it always felt like, the adoption rates were less than we thought they would be 8 years ago. Is that the same trajectory we see here, or do you think it's going to play out very differently?
I think it's going to be a very slow burn. I think we are going to be building what we're now calling the metaverse for at least a decade, and then beyond. I mean, this is an infinite landscape. It's part of the challenge I have with a lot of the hype, around this false scarcity of land, of NFTs.
Who gets to be next to Snoop Dogg?
Exactly. I mean,
and Snoop Dogg's not there.
No. I mean, I really doubt that Snoop Dogg is running his avatar in Decentraland. Maybe he is. I don't know.
Well, the avatar question. So one of the things we hear increasingly is about digital identity, and I think certainly there is this sense of, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product, and this growing understanding of our data. does the Web3 metaverse, is that shifting the conversation? Because there is this sense of consumers coming in much more informed about the value that they're bringing to this ecosystem. How are you thinking about that, and what advice are you giving?
This is something I actually care a lot about, and I think it's really important for consumers not to become digital lab rats, because now we're adding biometric data into the mix, right? We can eye tracking. So around identity and around avatars, we have the opportunity to build self-sovereign identity, meaning that we can manage our data. And on the brand side, what I prefer to see, and what I'm advising companies, is just ask for data nicely and then offer value for that data, because the elegance of blockchain, again, where we're all missing, is that it allows for these trust factors and for these microtransactions to occur, and this transparent exchange of value for data.
Well, and it does seem to suggest that last generation of companies that became quite wealthy off that data, what does that ecosystem look like for them? Is it just a changing relationship with the consumer?
That's up to them, right? They are either going to shift. I mean, we've seen a little bit of the walled garden already happening in these realms. And the promise of the metaverse is this sort of open landscape where we're able to move seamlessly between worlds. Now, Web3 has to really support that and interoperability. So there's a lot that needs to happen. And so that is why I caution both consumers and companies to understand, what is the purpose? Games is a great reason to be in the metaverse, but beyond that, there's, I think, a huge opportunity, but a very big responsibility for all of us to build something better.
Well, and you're talking about the business to consumer space, in the whether it's business to business or even just within companies. Is that an area where you think we're likely to see as much or more traction initially? Because it's certainly easier to control.
Yeah, and that's where the traction is now, especially with virtual and augmented and mixed reality. It's incredible utility for companies and solving problems and improving productivity. But we need that to hit that sort of top-down, bottom-up approach, because consumers need to build a fluency with the tech before they'll start really adopting it at work. On the same token, they're being introduced to it at work, maybe they'll take it home, but we really sort of need to close the gap between the two.
So I want to make sure we don't misinterpret you before we end, which is, when you say slow burn, if I'm a CEO, I could sit back and say, oh, good, I'm going to worry about this next year. What advice do you have? Is that a good mindset to have right now?
I think the best mindset to have is a futuristic approach and really projecting your innovation teams, your R&D teams, and your cross-functional teams into a future that is, really represents what we want as humans. And it sounds very lofty, but in actual fact, it's incredibly important for us to be thoughtful about this technology. There are some dangers to just letting it run free and letting everybody else deal with it. So start where you want to be 25 years from now, and then leverage technology to pave that road for you.
Any interesting case studies come to mind of who, nameless or not, is doing it well?
Yes, there is a certain sports brand who have acquired a company that does really, really beautiful NFT work. And an NFT that has an origin story and that really adds value other than just being a digital replica of something physical, that's where it starts to get interesting. And I like the way they're headed. They went in early and they're going all in, but they're being very, very thoughtful about it. So I'm looking forward to see more from them.
Thanks for joining us, Amy.
Thank you.